What Northern accountants are totally focused on is how they can give the most value they possibly can to their clients. And if they don't sell the services to their clients, there's no way they can deliver the value. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, yeah.
So I'm here with Phil Ellerby, the owner of Northern Accountants, which is one of the leading firms of accountants in England.
That's it, so.
Definitely, definitely. And they provide an incredible level of service to their clients. And one of the things that Northern Accountants do very well is they sell to their clients and they sell to prospects very well. And typically accountants shy away from this or they get nervous around selling, but ultimately what Northern accountants are totally focused on is how they can give the most value they possibly can to their clients. And if they don't sell the services to their clients, there's no way they can deliver the value. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, yeah.
So accountants typically are nervous around selling or the idea of selling. What's your thinking around it, or what would you say to them about that?
I'm like many accountants, selling makes me nervous. You worry about whether you're offering a service of value, if you're pricing yourself out of a market, if people think you're exaggerating for the things that you can do and support them. So I think, you know, it's about a mindset change that actually we are numbers professionals, we are the best in the business, we train to do this, we know this better than anybody. Clients didn't set up in business to run the finances side of things, they set up in business to do what they're particularly good at. And I think we've got to have that confidence. So these are the things that we do and this is how we can help you and these are the benefits. So in terms of making it happen for us as a firm, we have to generate those opportunities to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And then by having those conversations, I'm constantly surprised by the amount of people that say, I want that service.
Yeah.
So just picking up the phone, having those meetings, systemizing it, structuring it, making sure that you're available to present those opportunities means that you're actually not selling, they're buying. Which is a very different thing. Because people like to buy, they don't like to be sold to.
Yeah.
So by creating upsell opportunities for them to buy from you is much easier.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's because you've invested a lot of time in understanding this process and educating your clients that by the time they get to the point of where they're going to sign up for your services, like you say, they're ready to buy rather than you having to do that hard sell.
Absolutely, yeah. We've spent a lot of time investing in these and creating systems and processes and packages that work for them.
Yeah.
So the idea is just putting it in front of them, talking about it, and they'll say no. We were selling. We had our core packages, the numbers, and we started selling that in 2012. And we couldn't sell one for love and money, but you keep knocking on the door, you keep mentioning it, it's in all your sales messages, it's in all the things that you talk about and all the things that you do, and eventually it comes to fruition and people start to think, actually I want some of that, that makes sense, I'm now in a place to take those things on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you know, with these opportunities, you present them at the wrong time. Doesn't mean that the client doesn't want them, it just means that they're not able to take them up at that point. So a no is not always a no, it's a no, come back later.
Yeah.
And I think statistics say that most people say no 7 times.
Yeah.
So it's just keep going.
Yeah. And I think when you start to sell something as well, especially if it's a new service, you're learning as well in terms of who this perfectly fits for, at what time it fits for them, and the right messaging that you're saying to them so they understand when it is that they want it as well.
Absolutely. Understanding the client is essential to this. You can't just market the same to everybody because not everybody wants the same things at the same time. So again, it's finding different ways to say different things to different people or doing it in different ways. Some clients you'll have to take out for lunch and things like that. Others you will just send them an email and they'll sign up. Some you'll just opt in and they've got to tell you to opt out. And it's all the different ways of doing it that you've got to understand, and that comes with familiarising yourself with the client and their buying habits.
Yeah, that's great. And I think one of the other things as well is, so people understand selling to new prospects, so someone will come in the door, people understand that, but then people think that then selling no longer applies to existing clients, but actually that's where it really does apply to, because it's about making sure that you're constantly giving more value to your clients. I think there's a stat, I don't know, it's one of those 80-20 stats, but the fact that there's 20% of your clients right now that want more from you and you're not doing enough for them. And I know that you're very keen on, with the renewals part of the process, to make sure that you're still giving the most value you can to those clients with those new set of circumstances that might be in.
Absolutely, going through the renewal process and just double checking that these are the things that they want or these are the things they don't want. It just reminds the client that A, that you do these things and that you're just not doing it for them.
Yeah.
B, there are things that they won't know what you've done before. There could be new things that you've added and they've not seen that communication. And sort of C, the big thing for me is you're talking about it. So what the last thing you want is for them to go in the pub with a mate and, oh, my accountant does this for me. Well, mine doesn't. But you actually do. You've just not communicated it. So reiterating the fact that you do these things, irrespective of whether you do it for that client or not, is so fundamentally important. We've got clients that don't take up a lot of our board view services, but have recommended them to other clients.
Wow, yeah.
But they don't take it up. They've never really experienced it. But I've still said, well, my accountant sits down quarterly with his clients. He does X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Oh, right, we want that. So, and when other accountants don't do it, it's why is it my accountant doing it?
Yeah.
And then that just makes the sale, well, it turns the sale into a buy.
Yeah.
They're buying before you even walk through the room.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because there's nothing, you cover both spectrums there. So on one end, there's nothing worse than losing a client who says, I'm leaving you because you don't do quarterly management accounts or whatever. And you're like, we do? We've emailed you about it, we've told you about it. Well, I never saw it.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst case. But what you're doing is actually, because you're constantly talking about it and selling them and explaining them, like you say, even if they don't buy it, they can still refer to other people.
Yeah, we're trying to build, I suppose, an army of advocates rather than raving fans.
Yeah.
So they understand what we do for them and why we do it. So the way we talk to people, the questions that we ask, it leads them into being able to sort of regurgitate why we are good and why they enjoy working with us and how they came about us. And then we'll ask people to say, can you give us a referral then? Or 3 actually, but and then what you find is you get referral, and all our work, most of our work comes from referrals.
Yeah.
And the bulk of that is client referrals. I think about 70% of our income comes from client referrals.
Yeah. Yeah. And which again reinforces how important it is for you to be educating your clients. Because if they're not educated on your services, because you essentially, if you these advocates, they'd be terrible advocates if they didn't know anything about what you do.
The last thing you want is to say, yeah, my accountant's all right. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
You want to be able to say, these are the things that he does, and this is what he brings, and this is how he's helped other people, and they've featured in this, and they've been involved in that, and that sort of thing. Even if they've not experienced it themselves, make sure that they know. Yeah. And that way, they can then tell other people about it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I just think it's just a good habit to be in, the idea of just educating, not only educating all of your clients, but educating all of your staff, educating anyone that knows about your business, anyone that's connected to your business in any way needs to understand those services.
Absolutely, yeah. The team needs to know everything about that you do, because again, they have more contact with clients than I do.
Yeah.
So they need to know all the services that we've got, all the seminars we run, the dates, the reasons why they should be at every single event, because then it creates that upsell opportunity. It's not reliant on me as the owner to go out and bring everything to the table. The team are bringing it in as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Which brings on nicely onto our next bit, which is the reason why we started having a conversation in the first place was around how could you streamline your sales process? How could we make the sales process slicker so that when you're in a meeting with someone, we weren't wasting time producing proposals or letters of engagement, but we could actually use that time to give even more value to clients?
Yeah.
How could we quickly produce renewal documents? But also, and this is the key bit, I think a lot of people miss out on this bit, is how can you leverage your team? There's one of you, you've got one salesperson, but you've got, how many staff have you got? 10 staff. Yeah. So if you can leverage all those staff to be salespeople as well, what that enables you to do is to grow much better, scale quicker, give more value to your clients as well, which is why you invested in Go Proposal.
Absolutely, yeah, and Go Proposal's has helped us do that. It creates the opportunity to discuss services in a slick, fluid, and non-sales way. It's just a case of, do you want to check this, and this, or these are the things that we do, what would you like, what do you not like? And when you sat there at the computer with the client, it becomes you against the client, and they pick their own price.
Yeah.
So then there's no price resistance because they've chosen that price, and I'm happy to pay that amount of money. They don't have to weigh it up or think about it or anything like that, and you close the deals in the room. Our closure rate in the room has increased by about 30% since we implemented Go Proposal from a previous system that we used to use, which was still a price generating machine, but it was not as fluid as this one.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And also with the renewals as well, I know John's had a lot of renewals to get through recently as well. Yeah,
we renew our clients every year, and basically again it's the same process. We sit down and say, this is the service that we offer, these are the services that we don't offer. Do you want these things? And we just bring them again to people's attention, and the upsell goes up every time. So again, I'd say each year clients probably spend an extra 10-15% with us on additional jobs of things that we didn't do last year or we didn't do on a regular basis last year, whereas now we do. And it's just bringing that through, and then all of a sudden each client becomes more and more valuable, which means that your GRF goes up without having to win a new client. No
Yeah.
more further engagements or anything like that. They already know, like, trust you. So again, it's just a simple, and it's simply enhancing the relationship, and it's making you more ingrained in that client. So if there was anything that ever went untoward and you had a little bit of a fallout, you're more tied in. So again, you're protecting your client base even further because you're deeper in that relationship.
That's great. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add? Any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with other firms of accountants there who are I guess this is the question, who are great at what they do,
Yeah.
but maybe they feel a little bit overlooked, or there's other bigger firms of accountants out there, but they really believe in what they're doing. They want to give great value and they want to really grow and aspiring to be like yourselves. What advice would you give to them?
So first and foremost, it's to believe in yourself and believe in the value that you can add. You've gone through years of studying to be this professional, this numbers professional. You are the expert. You know more than the client. And the big firms may be a big firm and they may have all the flash branding and the nice offices and the big partner names, but they can lose this personal service. They can lose this relationship. So you've got to emphasize on that, exercise that, and make sure that clients appreciate what you're able to do, and just tell them what you can do, because they don't know. We assume that as accountants everybody knows what we do, and as business owners they assume that we do tax returns or bookkeeping or MI and things like that. But clients don't always know that, because not every accountant is like us. Not every accountant delivers every service.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that your client knows and the world knows what you're able to do.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then you'll flourish, and you'll be one of the big. You'll be a practice which is of size, and you'll be the one that people fear.